Hey there, this video is for moms who are pregnant and feeling scared to give birth. Now, first of all, let me just say that this anxiety and fear about childbirth is so common. It's so understandable, but I want to share some things with you today to help you feel a little bit more secure and prepared for what's ahead. Welcome, my name is Kate Borsato. I'm a mental health therapist for moms and moms-to-be. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the bell so that you get notifications whenever I post a new video. Let's jump into today's chat. There's 5 things that I want to talk to you about today in terms of overcoming this fear that you have about giving birth. So the first thing, and probably most important, is to explore what the fear is about exactly, because this is going to be really different for everybody. So maybe your fears are around what it's actually going to feel like to give birth. So it might be about maybe pain or the sensations that you're concerned about. It might be about feeling really vulnerable and exposed to people. So a lot of women feel very uncomfortable, understandably uncomfortable about being vulnerable and being naked or having people see you and touch you in ways that you're unsure about. So that's a very, very valid concern to have. Sometimes your fears might be about just the unpredictability about everything, maybe feeling worried about being out of control or not quite sure what your body's going to do. So that makes a lot of sense as well. Your fear might have to do with safety concerns, either for yourself or your baby. So depending also on what your experience during your pregnancy and your fertility journey has been like. For example, if you have a history of miscarriage or infant loss, then it would make a lot of sense that you are also concerned about the well-being of your baby during birth. Okay, so this always makes sense. There's always a reason for your fears, but I want you to start by exploring and just being curious about like what is actually going on. What is the fear? Write these things down. Try to get as clear and specific as you can so that you can get the support you need. So that leads me to number 2, which is to get support sooner rather than later. So these fears that you might be having about childbirth, they could be part of anxiety as well. So anxiety is really common during pregnancy. It's about the same actually as postpartum anxiety. So around 1 in 5 women will experience anxiety at this time. It's really common. But what happens is it usually progresses and can get more intense through your pregnancy. So if you're already feeling anxious and fearful about birth, then reach out for help right away. So you can either connect with a therapist, and I'll link to the Postpartum Support International, which is a great resource if you're not in Canada. If you're in Canada, then I'll link to my maternal health collective that you can find a support there. So therapy is one good option. Talk to your doctor as well. So let them know, or your midwife, let them know about the things that you're worried about. You can hire a doula or a birth support team. So really like put your feelers out there and see, who you can bring on board to help you through this, okay? The earlier you get support, the better. The third strategy I want to share with you is to really brush up on your relaxation skills. And I know this can sound so simple and possibly even too simple, like just relax. That sounds so easy. But really, if you're feeling anxiety or overwhelm, which most moms do feel at some point, then learning how to calm your nervous system and get yourself into a more relaxed state is going to be essential. So, for example, deep belly breathing is your fastest way to do this. So I invite you, even right now in this moment, put one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and draw the air right down deep into the base of your belly. That is how you want to be breathing instead of up here. That kind of breathing is going to drive more anxiety, more worry and fear. If you can ground your breath into a much deeper place, it's going to help bring your nervous system down. That's going to help you when anxiety and fear spikes. It's also going to help you when you're going through labor. So learning how to use your breath to bring calm in your body is going to be really helpful. Okay, so feel free to let me know if you need more resources or ideas in terms of breathing and relaxation. But just to kind of frame that up for you, the more you can learn how to reduce your anxiety in the moment, the better you're going to be able to manage these fears. Another tip that I want to share with you is to be really mindful about the content you are consuming. So that might be the stories that you're hearing or reading about, or the accounts that you follow on social media, for example. So make sure you're following people or you're being exposed to stories about birth that are safe, that are encouraging, that put a lot of trust in you and your body and what you're capable of doing, right? We are really impacted by the messages that we hear and that we see. And so if you are reading about, tragedies or horror stories or all the things that could go wrong, you're just planting seeds for more and more fear and more worries. So yes, you need to learn about like what types of things can happen, but you don't need to go into it any further than that. Okay? So if you find yourself watching, YouTube stories about bad things or difficult things that have happened, ask yourself if that's helpful for you or if it's making you feel even more scared. And I invite you to get those scary things out of your life right now. You don't need any more energy behind the fearful thoughts that you have, okay? And then lastly, make a plan for your birth. So of course we can't plan for things that are just inherently somewhat unpredictable, but I do want you to think about how things could go. And don't just plan for best case scenario. So I know this might sound a little bit pessimistic, and of course I don't want you putting all of your energy into worst case scenario, but I do want you to think about the different things that could happen, the different ways that your birth could unfold, and think about how you can make those a positive experience. So even if, for example, let's say you are hoping for a vaginal birth and that you may have to have a C-section, that might not be an outcome that you want. But given that it is a possibility, how can you still find a way to make that positive and hopeful and exciting and beautiful and safe and respectful, right? So be willing to walk down these different paths mentally and think about how you can have the experience that you want to have. How can you feel the way you want to feel, even if these paths don't look exactly how you want them to. So that can be really helpful, okay? Let me know what questions you have. Pop them in the chat. Let me know how this lands or if any of this is resonating or feeling helpful for you. And feel free to drop any other questions that you have, okay? And I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Again, make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the bell so that you get notifications every time I post. Take good care, and I will see you in the next video.